Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Fuego here.
I'm Brittany Lee.
I'm Marsha Parker.
And we are back for another in-theater review for you guys. This one is for one that we were all actually pretty excited for. Mm-hmm. We did 2 trailer reactions for it, or was it just
so.
I think it was 2, yeah.
We did do 2.
So we were all pretty excited about this, and we are going to be talking all about Life, starring Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal and about 4 other people.
A remake of the Eddie Murphy Martin Lawrence movie.
Oh, God, no.
No.
Please, no. So what we're going to do is the usual thing for our reviews. We're going to talk about the overall thoughts, the story, the acting, the effects, possibly the music. We'll see what tickles our fancy, but we'll get into it right now. Guys, I enjoyed this movie. I didn't get blown away by it, but it was basically Alien for the CG film world. That's the closest way I can explain it to anyone. So that's my thought. Overall, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good but not great in my opinion. I feel like the first trailer that I saw, I was like, okay, this is way more on the sci-fi side. And then the second trailer I saw was way more on the horror side. So maybe it got my hopes high that it was going to be just balls out horror craziness. And it wasn't. It was. It had moments of tension, but I think I was expecting maybe more gore and more frights per se, and so it ended up somewhere between the first and the second trailer for me. So I enjoyed it, but I can't say I adored it.
Huh.
I really liked it. I thought it was a nice. I liked the way everyone portrayed themselves. I mean, there was a lot of good acting, I thought, and overall, I liked the creature monster. I mean, I know he was all CGI, but I thought that kind of worked with what they made him, like all slimy and
translucent.
Yeah,
Yes,
translucent. Yeah, so it worked
jellyfish.
with him. Yeah, like a jellyfish. Yeah, which is also really creepy. I thought it worked. I thought it was good.
I personally was thinking, so this is what it must have felt like for people to watch Aliens in the movie theater.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that experience, and so when I was going in, I was like, okay, let's see. I was just like, from like the moment it started going. Breaking his, I don't want to give away.
No, it's in the trailer.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like when he breaks his hand, and then it like there's just so many things. Like it starts building, the tension was building, and I was just like, oh my god, what's gonna happen, and how is it going to do what I know it's gonna do, and to me it had that kind of the slow and the kind of the slow horror like the first Aliens did, and I enjoyed it immensely. I thought this was really well done. I thought the acting was really cool. I liked the CG. I liked the cinematography and the effects and I don't know. Like I feel like every movie we watched the last month, I'm like, this is my new favorite movie.
Once we got past January,
I know.
Although Split was in January, right?
No, Split was the beginning of February.
Okay, well, yes, there you go. We had to get through the dregs of January.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was really cool because I felt like, this is like it's not Aliens, but it's another like version of what space, you know, in the ending. But we won't spoil
well, we'll do a slight spoiler section at the end like we normally do, because there is enough to spoil in this, I think. But let me amend my first statement in saying that this is a CG alien and say this is Alien by way of Gravity.
Truly.
Because it is very much
that,
a mixture of the two.
I'll agree with that.
And not only that, but the other thing I want to say, which is a very, very, very nerdy comment, and only a very select few of you will get this, but after watching this, I would really love to see DC tackle a Justice League movie where Starro is the bad guy. Because if you know who Starro is and you see this movie, you'll understand why it would be really badass to see Starro. So that's just for you, your uber nerds in the audience. But
well, now I have to chime in with the rumor that was going around about how this was a prequel to the apparent Venom movie, which is going to be coming from Sony. This was also a Sony movie by way of Columbia. There was rumors floating around after it screened at South by Southwest that this was actually technically a prequel where the symbiote was going to be the alien presence or life form, I guess, that they encounter that grows and can take people over. And
would have been
like
cool, but wasn't necessary for this movie.
No. This is its own thing, and it was good for what it was, I'd say.
So let's talk about the story then, because the story is given away entirely in the trailer. There's nothing more to it than this. The crew discovers a form of life from a probe from Mars that they have to catch. And that's really cool. That's the first thing we see is them preparing to catch this heavy piece of satellite.
Yeah.
And then we get right into the alien stuff, and then of course they find out that what is initially a massive discovery for humanity, and not only that, but I actually really loved that they touched on the Earth. As far as the school that got to name it, like I was like, that is so something we would do.
Right.
Yeah.
Humanity would be like, okay, we'll have 15,000 schools across the world vie to be the people that can name this thing. I thought that was a really nice touch. So yes, there were 6 main actors, but we did touch on Earth very briefly. But anyway, the overall story was very basic, and it was just survive. And I thought that honestly there wasn't much more than you needed than this. I mean, we'll get into the characters when we talk about the acting. I thought, again, the characters could have been a bit deeper.
That was one of my gripes.
Yeah, but nonetheless, the story itself was very enjoyable. It moved at a great pace. It was only an hour and a half.
Yeah,
perfect length for this movie. And so I was a fan of the story overall. Fuego?
I enjoyed the story. It was actually written by the same team that did Zombieland and Deadpool, and the upcoming Zombieland 2 and Deadpool 2. So you can see it made me wonder some of Ryan Reynolds' little snarky quips about Instagram and stuff like that, if that was ad-libbed or if that was actually in the script for him specifically.
It probably was in the script.
Yeah, but I know that he just kind of did stuff off the cuff in Deadpool. So who the hell knows? It was such a cool concept that even though I got bored at times halfway through the movie. I did. I
never
honestly
got bored.
Did.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It just that I wanted it to be more hardcore than it actually was. Maybe I was more bloodthirsty.
It was PG-13.
That was R-rated.
Was it really R-rated?
They said they dropped F-bombs throughout. Yeah, this is definitely R-rated. Yeah.
That might be a good point in the movie's favor. The fact that it didn't seem R-rated at all.
I can see the points where the alien was attacking. I'll just say.
I could see that.
Could be
one attack in particular.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in the spoiler section because that does deserve talking about. But I'm frankly surprised.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it was R.
Yeah, but maybe I just wanted it to be more bloodthirsty. But the concept was cool enough for me, especially as much as I enjoyed great sci-fi growing up, stuff like Robert Heinlein and and Alien, obviously. So it was cool. I'm just really thinking my hopes were too high after that second trailer and the burden of expectation. But the ending redeemed it for me.
Yeah,
it really did.
That was a good one. Brittany, what were your thoughts on the story?
I liked the story. I liked the fact that it was more intense moments. Although I have to say, they did do a lot of intense moments that like Jaime said, kind of took some time. And I only felt that way, I think, because I really had to pee. I'm like, this is great. You don't have to take 3 minutes to do the scene. But no, it was. I really enjoyed the story. I liked the way it went. I even mostly liked the ending.
Okay.
I don't want to get into that right
That's
now.
That's fine. Okay. Cool. Marsha, what did you think of the story overall?
I enjoyed it. It was, like you said, kind of straight to the point. No need to really go deeper. I feel like it did miss. I feel like it missed Bill Paxton. I think they needed a Bill Paxton in there, but that was Aliens.
Are you talking about? You're talking about comic relief.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know who the comic relief was.
Let's be careful.
We know who the comic relief was, but I feel like we didn't give him an opportunity to really embrace that role.
In this particular role, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the acting then. There's not a whole lot to speak of. There's about 6 main actors.
Yeah.
I thought everyone acquitted themselves very well. I especially thought that I appreciated what might have been meant to be the more faceless crew more than I thought I would. I thought it was going to be the Ryan Reynolds, Jake Gyllenhaal show, and I was actually almost more interested in the rest of the crew than I was in them. And I thought that was an accomplishment in itself. It's a crew of international people, different countries. We got Japan, we got England, we got the U.S., we got, I think Africa too.
I think it was France.
Somewhere in Africa.
Or was
maybe
it,
France, yeah.
Yeah, for the other woman.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I can't remember where the black gentleman was from.
He was also British.
Oh, he was British too.
Yeah, he was British.
Cool, got it. Okay. But nonetheless, it was a good cross-section, and it was interesting to see their interplay. But I really liked all the actors in this movie. I really did.
Yeah.
There wasn't, I don't think you could point to a weak spot in the bunch.
No. I agree. I think everybody did their job fantastically. And the fact that you can't, like, say, oh, well, you know, Ryan Reynolds stole the show or Jake stole the show, that everybody worked well together and we were able to appreciate each actor on their own accord. I think that's
I agree with you. I think it's a very evenly sliced pie.
Yeah, and we were, and you know, and I don't know, like, I'm sorry, but I didn't know any of the other actors at all, and I feel like
the Japanese guy.
Yeah,
I know I've
recognize
seen
Oh
him.
yeah,
him
he's been in stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't recognize his name, unfortunately, and I feel like I would pay more close attention to these actors now because I respect, dude, like, serious.
Did a really good job.
Brittany, your thoughts on the acting?
They all did a really good job. I thought they all did a really good job dying.
The ones
for
that,
those
the
who
ones
died.
that
For those who
dead.
died,
We're not
yeah.
giving anything
For,
away.
no, for anyone who died, when they died, they did a really good job. Like there wasn't too much of the over, and it wasn't underdone. I know that was very
Like, you
No, I
felt
like it.
each death.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. No, you know, I think you're right. I think I don't know if this is exactly what you're going for, but each death was given its proper due time and due quality, I should say, because they were all like, none of them were like, oh, that was a quick thing. Like, you know, they were all kind of terrifying. And that's the other thing we got to say is the tension in this movie was very,
like,
very effective.
very-
I
My
thought.
wrist
Stressful.
hurts, and I don't know why. I was just like
this the whole
this. Like, I was holding my keys on my phone, like, save me.
Fuego, your thoughts on the acting?
I felt like the no names overshadowed the big names. I was not very impressed with Gyllenhaal's performance in this. I know he was supposed to have been, and this is not super spoiled, he's up in space for a long time, you know, and that's kind of the type of character he was playing. He's a little detached, he's a little distant and stuff like that. I've seen him do amazing things like Nightcrawler, and so for this, I was just like, okay, he's just here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I was more impressed with I guess you couldn't say African American, you would say the African British guy. He was
black.
He's a black dude, but he's a British black dude, and he was my favorite character in the movie. Actually, I found him the most well-rounded, the most intriguing. The fact that
the most interesting to watch.
yeah, and the fact that he was willing to overlook protocol to study this creature, and you start to see he's becoming a little narrow-minded a quarter of the way into the movie, where he's not following procedure because he's that fascinated with this thing that he's taken in, and so he
fascinated / enamored.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. That's a much
he's-
better. I mean, dangerously fascinated, probably. You know, because he ends up putting the crew in jeopardy, and you see it in the trailer.
You
so
do,
this
you
isn't
do.
spoiling anything. So he was my favorite character, and I felt like the Japanese guy had the most where you saw his connection back to Earth, and you were rooting for his survival, maybe more so than anybody else.
Yeah, I would
there.
agree with that too.
You know, so I wasn't that impressed with the big names in this, but I was very impressed with what was given to the other people who were considered more minor characters. I was very impressed with their performances.
So let's move into the effects, because we have to talk about this. I think we can talk about this on two different fronts. I think we can talk about just the CG effects overall, and then I think we can talk about the gore effects separately.
Okay.
Because we'll be quite honest, guys, the gore effects were mostly CG.
Yeah.
But the gore effects weren't the only effects to speak of in the movie, quite
Right.
obviously, considering the subject matter. So let's tackle the gore effects first.
Okay.
The gore effects were... There were actually way more gore effects than I anticipated in the movie, even despite being R, because they had to do gore effects in space.
Yeah.
And that is a risky proposition because it's globules of blood floating around and coming out of people and just having to look like water in space. It's an unenviable task to accomplish for the CG creators. And I thought that it was very effective, especially one that we'll talk about in the spoilers that I'm sure got us all, because we were like, this is going on a long time and it's really disturbing me right now.
Let's
Like,
just say it's the first kill.
Yeah.
We're not going to say who it was.
Yeah, but they, you know, I thought the gore effects were very effective as a result of that. You guys, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, gore effects, I was more impressed with just the look of the creature maybe than with the gore itself. The kill that I liked the most didn't even have any gore per se. It was somebody floating in space and liquid involved and stuff. And that was actually probably my favorite kill of the entire movie.
Oh, wow.
That one
was
hit
really
me for whatever
intense.
reason because you saw her...
That's right. Wait, take it.
And that's because you saw the character's face changing as, you know, it was being exposed to, you know, just the bad stuff. And it was damn good. Brittany, what'd you think?
Like you were saying, the blood, the way they did the blood, I was so worried that it was going to look cartoony. And very, very good job those CGI creators did for that. I was very impressed with that. All their liquid facets were really awesome. The only thing that I hate that they continue to do in these space movies is when someone cries, their tears float off into the distance. And we've seen astronauts in space crying. It doesn't detach. It just stays here in this globule on their face. And I don't know why they do that. Because they know what it looks like.
That's fair.
And it frustrates me.
Okay.
There was that one point.
It was
Yeah,
it was
she
going for a little
cries
drama,
and
yeah.
I
didn't even notice it.
totally
Oh,
grabbed me
really?
all
Okay.
over
I
again.
did, I did
all
too,
over
yeah.
again. And I was just like,
Pull the heartstrings.
I just didn't notice it. I guess I was just like
What'd you think of the blood
recovering myself.
You were too busy gripping the
I was
animals on the...
Well, like, don't cry. There's things loose.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
I thought they did a fantastic job. I was actually expecting more, and
that's
the
where I
gore.
was.
And not more is it's kind of hard to describe, but there was a certain scene where I just felt like something could have if just a little bit happened, then I would have been a little bit more like, yay. But at the same time, they did a really good job of making it believable. Like, I just didn't see the CG as CG.
I would have liked to have seen the creature does munch on some people parts at some points,
Yeah.
and I would have liked to have seen
What it looked like.
right
gore
the
afterwards.
bone,
Yeah, I
you
would've-
know,
I
like
would've liked
almost
to see that too.
the piranha like after effects.
Yeah.
Would have been really cool to see.
Or would it
Or
look-
maybe
But
more
they-
like
again,
aliens
Or
coming
the
out
one
of
effects-
people.
the
Come
one
on,
effect-
man.
The
well,
one
again,
effect
they
they
were.
did
This is a
when
very
it-
CG heavy movie. They
Yeah.
just didn't take time to do practical type stuff. It didn't.
Yeah.
look
They
like.
did have the one thing where it consumed the first thing that it consumed.
Right.
And they
Oh,
did
that was
all
good.
That was really
But that
good.
was
And
all
I was
CG too.
expecting
Yeah, it was all
more
CG,
of
but-
that.
That
I
was
was expecting to see a
that
little
was
bit more.
that
of
was
that.
actually
That
really
that
gross.
But they-
yeah, that was gross.
And it's in the trailer, so you probably...
No,
No, it's not.
I don't
it's
think
not.
it is.
No, I know what she's talking about. She's talking about El Raton.
Yeah, that squeals, and it's implied in the trailer. It's not...
But
You
they don't
see-
show it in the trailer. Fuego.
Okay.
So, all right. So that's the gore effects. Let's talk about the CG itself, the creature. Well, and the space.
The space looked
stuff
beautiful.
is. I mean, because
The
yeah,
space
and actually we might
I
be able
thought
to
they
roll.
were in space.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say they might be able to roll. We might be able to roll the sound mix into this too, because the sound design was great.
Oh, yeah.
It lent to the space feel, but yeah, the creature. You know, it's an entirely CG creature, and that is extraordinarily unnerving for a lot of moviegoers.
Yeah.
As far as, is it going to look good or is it going to look like crap?
Yeah.
This one looked good.
Yeah.
For the
I
most
thought it
part.
looked.
It looked real. I thought it looked real to me. I believed it.
It floated a little too much at times.
But-
It looked
but
like
yet-
it was in water.
That's
when
but
it was.
that's where it felt like a fish to me almost, especially with kind of the tentacle design that it had and stuff and its range of movement. I mean, space is almost kind of like water to a degree, maybe.
So
when
did
you're
you
in
like
zero
that then,
gravity.
or did you not like it?
You know, it felt very The Thing to me at times with the CG sticking out, at least for me.
Really?
The Thing remake.
See,
Yeah.
I didn't even feel like the CG in that one stuck out all that much. So.
For me, it did. Maybe I'm just too critical.
I mean, the
don't know.
CG did stick out because clearly there's not a creature like this anywhere ever.
Yeah.
So it has to be, but
I
it's
liked-
how good was it is the question.
I liked it at the beginning when it was like just first forming, and then I really liked it at the end once it gained some mass and it.
So it
almost
sounds
had
like you
a-
liked it then.
Well,
You
was
liked it
the-
at the beginning and then you really liked it at the end. Where's
in the middle where
the?
he was like,
well, because you guys know that it took more, without spoiling too much, it took more form as it gained mass, and so when
That's
it was
true.
when it was at that mid phase, that's where it was. I was like, okay.
Well, none of
But-
us looked good during our preteens.
Yeah,
Okay?
I mean, come on,
Yeah,
Fuego.
That's a great analogy,
There you go,
actually,
yeah.
because that's kind of the way I felt about it. Once it was matured and it almost had a face, jaw
That was
thing going
so
on.
surprising.
cool.
You and me
Yeah.
both.
When they
When we
revealed
first
First
saw
time they revealed it, we were like,
me and Cecil were both like, whoa, and we both like pulled back because we both
Yeah,
like
we
creatures
were.
so much. We both pulled
We did.
back.
It showed it. We were like, oh.
Yeah.
I did too. I was like, oh my god, that thing is scary. He's
Yeah.
gonna suck my face off.
Little bastard.
But that just goes to show that it was really excellent CG, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
Excellent.
Excellent. So there you go, guys. I mean, overall, is this a movie we'd recommend to people?
Yes.
Yeah. If you like
Yes.
sci-fi, definitely.
A lot of people.
If you liked Aliens and the Aliens franchise, then go watch it because you're gonna get that Alien one like feel. But I think, with the gravity mixed
Well,
in.
also, yeah, if you were one of
Yeah.
those people who liked the Gravity movie, go see it because it's like Gravity only better.
Yeah.
There's actual scares.
Then
Yeah,
I
because
think,
it's actually scary.
you know, as long as we remember to do this, I think we should try and give numerical scores just real quick because
Yeah.
people are requesting it.
How about we do moons? How many moons?
No.
No.
We can each do our own thing. I'm gonna give this
We're
one.
doing
I'm gonna give this one 8 out of 10 broken appendages.
Broken appendages. Nice.
Fuego?
I'm gonna say 7 out of 10 moons.
Stuck with the boring one.
Yes.
Go for it. Brittany?
Because of Good Night Moon, man.
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
All right.
I've got nothing
8 out of 10.
to
All
make
right.
it creative.
Cool.
It's just an 8 out of a 10.
I'm gonna give it an 8.5
Okay.
out of 10.
Mars.
That's
rocks.
pretty much an average
Brain
8.
cells. I don't
then.
know.
Brain cells.
Brain cells? Okay. All right.
The one thing I do have to say is I was a little,
I had it and I lost it.
maybe I was a little audacious and overzealous by saying this looks like it could give an Alien Covenant a run for its money. Not
Yeah,
gonna do,
you
it's
might
not
have
gonna
been a
do
little
that.
over.
Yeah,
over
but that's because I love
anxious
that
on it.
second trailer so much, man. Where you saw like the red lighting and the creature
Yeah, I
and some
get
of
it.
those flashes.
They can watch
yeah.
the trailer. So let's just talk about spoilers real quick because we're short on time.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
let's do it.
So the interesting thing was that, and I actually kind of guessed this. I didn't
I did
tell
too.
anyone,
The
but
bait and switch. Yeah, I
no,
saw it
no,
coming.
not the bait and switch.
Oh.
No, I mean that I saw coming.
was
No,
obvious
but
as hell.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say what I saw coming was the Ryan Reynolds as Samuel L. Jackson in Deep Blue Sea
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds was the cannon fodder. He was the first to go. So if you're going to see this to see Ryan Reynolds,
Sorry.
you
Not
get to
gonna
see
get
him
much
cough up a shit ton of blood and probably
Good
the
God.
coolest death in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
his death and the French chick's death in the spacesuit, where all
Yeah.
the poisonous,
The
liquid,
coolant.
the coolant.
She
and he's
literally
like,
drowned
he's like, don't
in
drink
coolant.
it, don't drink
Yeah.
it, it's
That
poison.
is awful.
Well, it was
Yeah.
so cool
Well, I
though.
love
Ugh.
the fact that she was just
Yeah.
like, "This is it. I have to accept my death and try to save the crew." Even
Yeah,
though,
and
even
she
though it
wouldn't
didn't
let the
work.
creature in.
Not only
right?
the crew, but Earth.
No, yeah, Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, because she
One
was one of the
problem-
few of them that was in on that.
the
Sorry.
one problem I
Oh, no.
had is that she knew her shit was cooked as soon as the creature was on her.
I
She should have
know.
just
Jumped
unattached
off.
herself and floated out into space.
Yep,
So
I
she
agree.
started to turn, and then she turned the other way because she changed.
That
her
was
mind.
good, that was
Yeah.
good tension, though.
It
I thought
that
was,
was good.
and you had, and she,
But she
you
was
know,
still trying to get back to Jake Gyllenhaal too,
Yeah,
because they
she
kind of
was.
had
Yeah,
a
they
little
had a
It
thing.
little
seemed like
thing.
they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So,
I
so
know-
I thought that
know
was good
You wouldn't
too.
have the movie if she would have done that, I know, but still, like, come on.
Another thing I want to
Well, it's
spoil
just
is the
like-
thing.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the thing that's in the trailer is when the black character is getting attacked the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing's on his hand, and you just see
Oh.
him go like, ah, and you're like, what's going on? They actually show you the creature not only crushes his hand entirely, but it like snaps fingers all these different directions
Yeah.
to get back at him for shocking it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's like this thing is malicious. And it's in survival
And
mode.
it's very
and it's
smart too.
Very
Really.
smart. And the aftermath when his hand comes out and it's just like it pulls out and it's just like flump.
Yeah,
And
and,
it's just
he
like,
passed
oh,
out from the
God,
pain.
yeah,
Oh
it was-
yeah.
That was a very effective.
And the
scene.
way
Good.
it broke the little device so it could pop out of the
Oh,
glove. And
yeah.
When they
Oh,
like,
yeah.
saw him doing that, I'd be like, that
yeah.
guy's
Shouldn't they have
But I
acted a
don't
little bit
understand.
faster because
I'm
they
like-
saw it was gonna break the
Yeah,
glove?
yeah.
right?
I'm like, okay, you guys see it went back in there, it grabbed the little device, it broke it, and now it's going back to the glove. Grab the black guy and blow up the room.
Well, he tried. He tried.
No, I
Well,
know,
it's
but
too
he
late.
tried after he had already escaped.
Okay, all right. Well, what are you gonna do?
That
And
was
when
like-
you see it go back for the
I would've
device, that's
just-
when you go, okay, this is our time to save the black guy or blow
Seal
up the
the-
room.
steal the hatch.
One of the
You
two.
guys have the benefits of knowing it's a movie and what's coming.
No,
They have
no,
just
no,
discovered
no,
this.
No,
thing.
no, They have protocols. Okay,
maybe-
if
All right,
there's
relax,
a situation
relax.
like
All
that.
right.
I
They
am
have
with Brittany here,
protocols.
though. That was one thing that took me out of the movie a little bit. I'm like, shouldn't they be a little more concerned about what's going on here? And they're all cool, calm, and collected. Maybe that's because they were just hopeful that they could,
No, I
subdue the
think they were
creature
trying to
and make
keep
this big
every-
scientific
Everyone
discovery.
alive.
And
I think they were trying to keep everybody calm in the situation and think rationally and try to like calm him down because
if one person
you know.
panics, it spreads.
right. But at the same time, like I mean, the Navy tells you, man, you gotta steal the hatch.
Mhm.
You gotta steal the hatch and say sorry, man. I
Yep.
gotta watch you die.
I was really hoping the Japanese guy was gonna make it.
Yeah.
man. I was
Mhm.
pulling for him.
He
That
didn't.
was a really cool scene,
That
though.
was a good
like,
death.
when I'm not talking about the death, but
Oh.
I'm talking about when
Where he was
they
in the-
split up
Mhm.
and he goes into the sleeper pod
Mhm.
You see
And-
that in the trailer too?
and you see the creature like wrap itself around it
Mm-hmm.
and it's just squeezing really tight and you can see the glass and
Just
the
trying to give him a hug.
oh my god, but it's like
The
just
worst kinda
starting
hug.
to like give and it's just like oh my gosh,
Stressful.
this is like so cool because he's just in there like
It is
oh
a
my God.
very tense
Yeah.
movie.
It was
It
very
doesn't
Very
hate
good
us. It's just trying to survive.
So yeah, let's
Yeah.
let's get to the end.
The end.
We'll spoil the last thing, which was the bait and switch
Mhm.
that Fuego mentioned, and
Really
basically we're
obvious.
down to Jake Gyllenhaal and one of the female crew members,
The other British
and
girl.
they're basically the ISS. This is the International Space Station, the biggie that's been in a ton of movies in the past, Armageddon, Gravity, all kinds of stuff. It is going down, and it is going to Earth. And so their last option is they have 2 escape pods, 2 people left plus the creature. They're going to each go to an escape pod. Jake Gyllenhaal intends to lure the creature in and fly it out into space while she gets home safely. They do this, they enact their plan, they both detach. Jake Gyllenhaal starts to try and fly it away. She is letting it plot its course to Earth. Something happens, there's part of the space station that flies off and knocks into one of them as they're entering, and you see and you think it's Jake Gyllenhaal that's been spun off into space, and it's like, okay, great, and she's going in to go and see her father who she misses, as she mentioned earlier, and then the pod crashes into the water, and some fishermen, Asian fishermen, I'm guessing.
Now you seemed like you saw something right when it first hit. Was it the number on the escape pod or something? Because
Oh, I knew as soon as the pod hits some space debris, I was like, oh, they're gonna switch it right here.
okay.
I knew as soon as that happened that they were gonna pull the switch.
So your reaction was just when we saw the fisherman.
Yeah. I was
Okay,
like, oh no.
Because you moved next to me and I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
he knows what I think I know.
Yeah. So the pod lands, and it turns out that the pod that hits the water is Jake Gyllenhaal, splayed out by the creature.
Still barely alive though.
Still barely alive, and the girl is spun off into space, gonna go die by herself.
screaming.
Screaming, and yeah, we just have this big helicopter shot pulling up and pulling out as more fisherman boats start coming over to the pod, and you know the creature's just gonna attack and start destroying everything on Earth.
Destroy all.
And that's the end.
Well, and it makes you wonder if they got the transmission the British woman was sending, where she's like, if this creature does get to Earth and any of you encounter
No,
it,
it's her black box recording.
No, it was her black box recording. It's with her
Yeah,
out in
it's
space.
out in space. They're gonna find.
So
if
that was
some
in
of
case
us
she
escape
died on
from Earth-
re-entry,
Yeah,
right?
that's what it said. She said,
Yeah.
in case I die on
Yeah,
re-entry.
this is my black box recording.
Yeah, and my only problem with the ending was that we never actually saw it emerge from the pod. I wanted to see it
Yeah.
crawl out and attack someone or something, but
Yeah.
you get the idea
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Yeah, indeed. Damn it, do I want to see a sequel though, where maybe you do see the entirety of this creature go out and wreak havoc, and
They should call it Lives.
Yeah. Stolen. I concede.
All right, guys. That was a little behind the scenes joke for us.
Not for you though.
Thanks very much for watching. I've been Cecil Laird.
I'm in Fuego.
I'm Brittany Lee.
And I'm Marcia Parker. Make sure you click on the links below. Go to our TeePublic site. Make some comments. Have some fun at Jaime's expense.
Always. I'm always happy to be the cannon fodder. I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Until next time.
All right. Remember, guys,
Stay
stay scared.
Woo.